welcome to the very first. This is the very first episode of The Abyss.
A new series from SFB where we're going to be kind of diving into the more unconventional, shall we say, side of current events.
Yeah, think of conspiracies, the unexplained, the things that just kind of make you raise an eyebrow and say, wait, what?
Right.
And for our first plunge into the abyss, we're going huge.
Huge might be an understatement. I mean, we're talking about Diddy.
Sean Combs,
arrested.
Oh, we have the clip.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so for anyone who somehow missed this, Diddy's arrest sent shockwaves pretty much everywhere.
It's not every day you see, a global icon like that getting taken into custody.
Yeah, and it's got a lot of people asking, like, what's next?
Yeah.
Which brings us to a very specific corner of the internet, a place some might call a conspiracy breeding ground.
Right.
The land of QAnon.
Yes.
Where cryptic hints and predictions have been swirling for years. And some people think.
Some people believe that those predictions
are starting to come true. There's one Q drop in particular from 2019 that keeps coming up.
Okay.
It mentioned a first arrest that would verify action and confirm future direction. So the question we're diving into today is, could Diddy's arrest be that first arrest?
Yeah.
Could this be the turning point that Q followers have been waiting for?
That's what we're here to discuss.
All right, before we go any further,
let's
make sure everyone's on the same page.
Yeah.
Can you give us a quick rundown of what QAnon is all about and what these Q drops are?
Sure. So QAnon is, well, it's sprawling, it's complex.
Yeah.
It's a phenomenon, really.
Yeah.
But at its core, followers believe that Q is a high-level figure.
Okay.
Maybe even someone in military intelligence working to expose this massive network of corruption. And they think this network involves, powerful politicians, celebrities, you name it. And they believe that Donald Trump is secretly working with Q to bring this whole system down.
So kind of like a secret war against a deep state.
Exactly. And these Q drops, they're like messages from the front lines. They're these cryptic messages, often filled with coded language and symbolism that get posted on online forums.
And Q followers try to decode these messages to figure out what's supposedly going on behind the scenes.
Precisely. They're like a puzzle. Each drop is a new piece.
But it's not always clear what the pieces mean, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of interpretation involved.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's part of what makes QAnon so compelling for its followers.
Okay.
They're actively involved in piecing together the narrative, deciphering the clues.
But the thing is, not all of Q's predictions have come true.
No.
Like, remember that very first drop back in October 2017?
The one predicting Hillary Clinton's imminent arrest.
Yep, spoiler alert, that didn't happen.
Right, and that's a key point to consider.
Yeah.
While some see Q's drops as prophetic,
many of those predictions, like the one about Hillary, have simply fizzled out.
So how do Q followers explain that?
Well, there are different theories.
Okay.
Some believe the plan simply changed.
Okay.
Others think it was a deliberate disinformation tactic to mislead the enemy, whoever that might be.
Interesting.
It's very convoluted.
Yeah, so let's jump ahead to the Q drop that's got everyone talking now.
Okay.
The one from December 2019.
Right.
What did Q say in that one?
This is the drop where Q wrote, "Unsealing the first indictment will trigger mass pop awakening. First arrest will verify action and confirm future direction."
Chilling words.
Yeah.
And here we are.
Here we are.
Almost 5 years later.
Almost 5 years later.
With Diddy's very public arrest.
Yeah. It's not just the arrest itself, it's the timing.
Okay.
Diddy was arrested on September 16th, 2024.
Hold on. Why is the date significant?
Well, because in that same 2019 drop, Q mentioned marker 9.
Okay.
Oh, so marker 9 equals September.
Right.
And Diddy's arrest in September could be the fulfillment of that marker.
That's how some people are connecting the dots. They see Diddy's arrest as the first arrest that Q hinted at, the one that would kickstart this whole chain of events.
Yeah.
The one that would verify action and confirm future direction.
But again, we have to remember, this is all based on interpretation.
Of course.
There's no concrete evidence linking Diddy's arrest to QAnon.
Absolutely. And it's important to note that Q often rails against the mainstream media in these drops, suggesting that legacy media outlets would be among the last to fall in this supposed battle against corruption.
And it's no secret that, legacy media has been struggling in recent years.
Yes.
With the rise of independent media and social media, their influence has definitely taken a hit.
Right. And some Q followers see this decline as further evidence that Q's plan is unfolding just as predicted.
So you've got this decline of traditional media. You've got this cryptic prediction of a first arrest, and then bam,
global superstar
gets arrested in September.
It does make you wonder.
It really does. And that's what we're here in the Abyss to do, to wonder, to explore, to dig into these strange and fascinating corners of our world.
Exactly. We're not saying any of this is necessarily true,
Right.
but we are saying it's worth examining.
Absolutely. And as with any deep dive into these kinds of topics, we bring our critical thinking skills to the table.
Absolutely.
We can't just jump to conclusions or take anything at face value.
Right. We need to look at the evidence,
Yeah.
consider different perspectives, and ask ourselves, what does all this actually mean?
What's fascinating here is that QAnon, at its core, taps into a very real sentiment.
Okay.
A deep distrust of institutions and authority.
And that's a sentiment that's pretty widespread these days,
Yeah.
regardless of your political views.
Yeah, people are feeling disillusioned. They feel like the systems that are supposed to serve them are failing them.
And in that environment, a figure like Q,
Yeah.
promising to expose the truth and bring down the corrupt elite,
Right.
can be incredibly appealing.
It offers hope, a sense of agency in a world that can feel increasingly chaotic and out of control.
And then you add in the mystery,
Yeah.
the codes, the need for interpretation.
Yeah.
It becomes almost like a game,
Right.
a puzzle to be solved.
Right. So it engages people on a deeper level.
Yes.
They're not just passively consuming information.
Right.
They're actively trying to decipher the clues and uncover the truth.
And that creates a sense of community.
Yeah.
They're working together to solve this puzzle.
It's almost like a modern-day treasure hunt.
Yes.
But instead of searching for gold, they're searching for what exactly are they searching for?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
I think for many, it's a search for meaning,
Okay.
for purpose. A sense that someone somewhere is in control and fighting for what's right.
Which brings us back to Diddy.
Right.
If we entertain the idea that his arrest is somehow connected to this QAnon prophecy.
If we go down that rabbit hole.
Exactly. What might the implications be? What could it mean for the future?
Well, if this is the first arrest that Q predicted,
Yeah.
then according to QAnon lore,
Yeah.
it should trigger a chain of events.
The domino effect.
Precisely.
Okay.
It's supposed to set in motion a series of mass awakenings.
Wow.
Ultimately leading to the exposure and downfall of the entire corrupt system.
Wow. That's a pretty dramatic scenario.
It is, and I have to emphasize again that this is all highly speculative.
Of course.
And based on a specific interpretation of these Q drops.
Right, but even if you don't buy into the whole QAnon narrative,
Yeah.
it's hard to deny that Diddy's arrest has tapped into something bigger.
Absolutely. It sparked a conversation about power, about corruption, about who we trust and why.
And it's got people asking, what's next?
Which in a way is exactly what Q intended, to get people thinking, questioning, and searching for answers.
So where does that leave us?
Yeah.
Are we on the brink of some massive global awakening, or is this just another conspiracy theory destined for the dustbin of history?
Only time will tell. But in the meantime,
Yeah.
it's crucial that we approach these topics with open minds,
Yeah.
critical thinking,
Uh-huh.
and a healthy dose of skepticism.
Couldn't agree more. So what do you think? Could Diddy's arrest be the first arrest predicted by Q?
Is there something bigger going on here?
We want to hear from you.
Yeah.
Let us know your thoughts in the comments. What pieces of this puzzle stand out to you? What are you wondering about?
And speaking of puzzles, one of the things that's so interesting about QAnon is the way it uses language.
Right.
These Q drops,
Yeah.
they're like riddles full of symbolism and double meanings.
It's almost like they're designed to be open to interpretation.
Exactly. And that's part of what makes it so slippery. Because if a prediction doesn't come true,
Right.
well, you can always say it was misinterpreted.
Right. Or that the plan changed.
Yeah, so it's almost like a self-fulfilling prophecy in a way.
In a sense, yes.
Okay.
Because the lack of concrete details allows followers to fill in the blanks with their own beliefs and biases.
Which brings us to another interesting aspect of this whole Diddy connection.
Yeah.
The fact that Q drops often target the media.
Right.
specifically the mainstream media.
Right. Q frequently accuses the mainstream media of being part of this corrupt system of spreading lies and propaganda.
And there's this idea that the media will be among the last to fall in this alleged battle against corruption.
Which is kind of ironic, considering how much attention QAnon itself gets from the media.
Right. It's a strange kind of symbiotic relationship, isn't it?
It is.
The media reports on QAnon, which gives it more attention, which then feeds back into this narrative of Q being this powerful force that's shaking things up.
Absolutely. And you have to remember, QAnon emerged at a time when trust in traditional media was already declining.
With the rise of social media and independent news sources, people were already questioning who to believe.
So QAnon kind of stepped into that void.
Right.
Offering an alternative narrative.
Yes.
A truth that many people found more appealing than what they were hearing from the establishment.
Exactly. And the fact that these Q drops are so cryptic and open to interpretation only adds to their allure.
Yeah.
It makes people feel like they're in the know, like they're part of something bigger.
Like they're decoding a secret message that the rest of the world is missing.
Precisely. And that feeling of being in the know can be very powerful.
Right.
Especially when you feel like the world around you is chaotic and unpredictable.
So going back to Diddy, do you think his arrest could actually galvanize QAnon followers?
Possibly.
Yeah.
Could it make them believe even more strongly that Q's predictions are coming true?
Yeah.
It's definitely possible.
Okay.
I mean, here you have this major celebrity, a figure who's been in the public eye for decades, suddenly being arrested.
Yep.
It's a big deal.
Yeah.
And for people who are already predisposed to believe in Q's prophecies, this could be seen as confirmation.
Like, see? Q was right all along.
Exactly. And even if the charges against Diddy turn out to be unrelated to anything Q has predicted, the timing of his arrest, so close to marker 9, will be enough for some people to believe that it's all connected.
It's a reminder that correlation doesn't equal causation.
True.
But in the world of conspiracy theories, sometimes correlation is all you need.
Right, because it fits the narrative.
Yeah.
It reinforces the belief system.
Right.
And that's what makes these theories so hard to debunk.
Right.
They're often built on this foundation of distrust and suspicion.
Yeah.
So any attempt to disprove them is just seen as further evidence of a cover-up.
Like trying to argue with someone who's convinced the Earth is flat.
Exactly. No matter how much evidence you present, they'll always find a way to explain it away.
So what does this all mean for the future? If Diddy's arrest really does energize QAnon followers, what could we see happening?
Well, it's hard to say for sure.
Yeah.
But one possibility is that we could see an increase in QAnon-related activity, both online and offline. More people spreading the message.
Yeah, it's almost like QAnon has created its own reality.
It's a really interesting point, and I think it speaks to the power of belief. When people buy into a narrative, especially one that offers a sense of order and purpose in a chaotic world, it can become very difficult to shake those beliefs.
Yeah.
Even in the face of contradictory evidence.
And QAnon is particularly good at weaving a compelling narrative.
Oh, yeah.
It's got all the elements of a good story, mystery, intrigue, heroes, villains, this battle between good and evil.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it taps into, some very primal fears and desires, like the fear of the unknown, the desire for control, the yearning for a simpler time when things made sense.
It's like a modern-day mythology almost.
In a way, yes. And like any mythology, it can be very powerful in shaping people's beliefs and behaviors.
So where do we go from here? How do we navigate this world where reality itself seems to be up for grabs?
That's the million-dollar question.
Yeah.
I think one of the most important things is to be aware of our own biases.
Okay.
To recognize that we all have a tendency to seek out information that confirms our existing beliefs.
So we need to be more critical of the information we consume, especially online.
Absolutely. We need to ask ourselves, where is this information coming from?
Right.
What's the agenda behind it? And does it align with what we know to be true?
It's like we need to develop a kind of information literacy.
Yes.
To help us filter out the noise and find the signal.
Exactly. And that involves being willing to, question our own assumptions, be open to different perspectives, and recognize that sometimes the truth is more complex and nuanced than we might like it to be.
It's not always black and white. There are a lot of gray areas.
Exactly. And I think that's one of the things that makes these conversations so important.
Yeah.
Because by talking about these issues, by exploring different perspectives,
Right.
we can start to develop a more nuanced understanding of the world around us.
And hopefully we can learn to be more discerning consumers of information.
Absolutely. It's a reminder that we all have a responsibility to be critical thinkers.
Yeah.
To question what we hear and see, and to be careful about the information we share.
Well said. This has been a truly fascinating dive into the abyss.
Yes, House.
I'm still processing everything we've talked about.
Me too. It's a lot to unpack.
But it's important that we keep having these conversations.
And who knows, maybe by shining a light on these dark corners,
Yeah.
we can help people find their way back to a shared reality.
One can only hope. Well, folks, that's our first descent into the abyss.
That's it.
We hope you found it enlightening, thought-provoking, and maybe even a little bit unsettling.
A little unsettling, yeah.
If you're still pondering Diddy's arrest, QAnon, and the strange world we live in, head over to the comments and let us know your thoughts.
Yes.
What resonated with you? What questions do you still have?
We want to hear from you.
And if you enjoyed this deep dive, don't forget to hit that like button and share with your friends.
Yes, please.
Let's keep the conversation going.
Absolutely. And be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next adventure into the abyss.
Yes.
We've got plenty more mysteries to unravel and rabbit holes to explore.
Until then, stay curious, keep questioning, and remember, sometimes the truth is stranger than fiction, especially down here in the abyss.